Good morning. It's Bank Holiday Monday. It's about 7:15 in the morning. It's going to get hotter later, and today's the day to go on a long off-road bike ride. We're going from Stockport to Hebden Bridge via the Rochdale Canal. It's almost entirely off-road, and we're going to see if we can get all the way up to Hebden Bridge, which is a fair bit away, so we'll see how that goes. It's a very comfortable bike. It's a Cube e-bike, a touring bike. It's about £1,600 worth of bike, perhaps a little bit more nowadays. But it's got big panniers on. It's pretty heavy, but it's very solid, very comfortable. Good tyres, suspension seat post. It's just a joy to ride. It just chews miles up. I won't be using the motor very much. I don't imagine. It's flat and along canals, so I'll just toddle along without needing to use any of the e-bikes motor functions. I might, if I come across a hill, or later on the day. It's meant to be getting quite hot, up to 30 degrees Celsius. If it gets very hot and I start getting blown, then of course I can just use the motor to help me get home. But I'm not planning it. This is not an exploration of a sporty on an e-bike or something like that. I'm just using it because it's the most comfortable bike I've got, and it's the biggest panniers and things. Okay, off we go then. Okay, I assume if you know Stockport area or Didsbury or anywhere, you're aware of the River Mersey and the Transpennine cycle path. So this is the River Mersey. It's about, I don't know, 60 seconds from my house. There's the bike. I'm going down it. It's quite a misty day today. That the mist will be burned off by the sun shortly. And there is the Transpennine. And that direction along that route is Stockport. And the other direction is Didsbury. And Cheshire if you want to go that way, and Hebden Mersey. So you've got down there Didsbury route till tarmac. It's a nice tarmac bit. That's the Pyramid roundabout and down to Stockport and along to Reddish Vale. Okay, we're going to go Didsbury, and then we're going to take the road up by the side of Didsbury tram station at Parswood, and that'll get us onto the Manchester Cycleway, and then we can loop round off-road, all off-road, onto the Ashton and then Rochdale canals. Okay, so we're just 5 minutes down the Transpennine. We've come down that way. That's a beautiful tarmac path, as you can see. It's right here if you want to go up to the East Didsbury Metrolink at Parswood, which is the direction we're going. That's also the way to commute into town. One of the things about this route is if you want to do off-road commuting into Manchester City Centre, then you can do it by basically following this route. So that might be of some interest to you if you live in or around Stockport or Didsbury. Obviously you can also go up the main Oxford Road corridor, which is technically a segregated cycleway for most of the way, but it's nevertheless full of other cyclists and people and cars turning left across you, but it's faster. You can get from my house to my work on Deansgate in Manchester in 40 minutes. If you go that way, and I do mostly in the mornings, but if you want a more leisurely commute, a safer commute, or you want to go with kids and explore an off-road way of getting into Manchester City Centre, then this is going to be better. That direction there, down the Mersey, the Transpennine stops and turns, as you can see, up that way. You can follow that one down and then follow banks. Some of it stops being tarmacked, but there's a previous video where I've gone all the way down to Lymm off-road, totally off-road on that, so you can go into Cheshire and down the cycle lanes and down the bridge and down the Mersey and Bridgewater Canal, and you end up in Lymm. You can keep going further if you want to. That's the route. Actually, you can go if you want to the more scenic route. Then you can go Lymm to Southport and pick up the Transpennine again. So if you're doing coast to coast, you can actually come along this way, but you won't be able to do it on a road bike. You'll need a hybrid or a mountain bike or a touring bike to get along, because the banks of the Mersey get a little bit rocky and muddy a bit further on. Anyway, we're going right, which means we're going up that way to the Didsbury tram stop. Seconds further on, we come to options here. That way, if you want to actually go to the tram stop itself, you go through there and left under the tunnel, and you can you can cycle along side the tram. It takes you up to Didsbury Village, and that's the way onto the commute up the Oxford Road corridor to the city centre, or through the university, through Rusholme, through Didsbury, Withington, Fallowfield, Rusholme, and then up to the Oxford Road corridor to the city centre. So it takes from here about probably 30 minutes maybe to get into the city centre if you go that route. But we're not going there. We're going just down the side here and across the road, because we're not actually going through the Parswood tramway going alongside it up Burnage Lane, which is the only bit of cycling on road. You can go on the pavement if you want to do, I suppose, especially if you're a child. But it's very quiet. It's 7:30 on a bank holiday Monday morning, so I'll cycle up the road. But it's quite a quiet road, even at rush hour. You can go up it okay. It's not too bad, and that's about probably maybe a couple of miles at most of maybe a mile and a half of road, and that's the only bit of road on this trip. The rest of it is going to be entirely off-road on cycleways and canals. Okay. So we've just come across that little road there. That's where it came 10-15 seconds later. We'll come across. You can go back down there to Didsbury Metrolink if you want to, and we're going up here, which is Burnage Lane, straight up there. This is Didsbury Road, so this road connects the Pyramid Roundabout all the way back there, a couple of miles down that way, with Didsbury Village, which is just down there. Okay, but we're going up Burnage Lane. It runs parallel to Kingsway, but it's a much quieter road. Okay, and as you can see, it's got quite a wide pavement, so if you had kids or you weren't comfortable in any sort of traffic at all, you can cycle up the pavements here. As long as there's not much foot traffic, even on a weekday morning. We've just come up there, that road, and we're heading up there. After about, there's the traffic lights here, which is probably, I don't know, 800 yards, maybe 900 yards from the tram stop. And we go up here about the same distance, maybe a little bit less, and there's a roundabout. Once you get over the roundabout, you're back onto a cycle path that goes along Kringle Park. Okay, and here's the roundabout, and we're just going over that, and then on the right-hand side there's a bike path for about a mile up Kringle Park, and that takes you onto the totally off-road and tarmac cycleway, Manchester Cycleway. Okay, here we're on the cycle path. Not much to say about that. It just goes up and along. We've come up it. There, you can't see the roundabout. It's back down the bottom there. So it's about a mile, maybe a mile and a half cycle path up here, and then we get onto the cycleway, Manchester Cycleway proper. I'll just show you the connection onto that in sort of 3 or 4 minutes. We're going for about 24 minutes at the moment. So I don't know how many hours this will take. Obviously I'm stopping to show directions as well, but we'll just keep going, and it's still quite cool, misty at the moment, so I'll make the most of it, because later on it's due to heat up, and I'll get probably a little bit less pleasant if it gets too hot, but we'll see. Here's a quick shot of Kringle Fields in the mist. They are quite misty, Kringle playing fields. A few cars coming up and down the road now, but I say we're safely off it because we're on the cycle route. We've reached the end of the Kringle Field cycle lane. There's running down there. Come up that way. We're now here. We need to transfer onto the cycleway. The cycleway is running basically a loop sort of east-west, and it's just really past where that car's just coming. So we're just going literally, just pedal at the side of the pavement or the other side of the road if you want to, and it's just beyond where that van's parked and on your right, and I'll show you in a second. That's the road that keeps on going up there, which we don't do. We take a right and drop off onto the cycleway, which is a dedicated cycleway that loops around Manchester. This is sort of east-west section, and we'll go out through sort of Gorton and Debdale and end up in the Ashton Canal. At the Ashton Canal. You can then take a left at the Ashton Canal, and you can go into town on it. Basically, it'll take you all the way into Ancoats, Stoke New Islington, in Manchester city centre, which is where I go. It takes about 55 minutes to an hour to get to Deansgate from my house, so that's about 15 to 20 minutes longer than just going straight up the Oxford Road corridor, but it's much more off-road, say if you've got kids or something. But what we're going to do is traverse from the Ashton to the Rochdale Canal, and then go up towards Rochdale. Okay, so we'll just come down the bottom, just come down that hill for sort of, I don't know, you can see the gate there at the top, so we'll just come down the hill, a few seconds. So it's we're on at this Levenshulme junction, that way leads down to a Fallowfield loop, these large Sainsbury's and the Oxford Road you can get to on there. This direction heads off to Debdale, Reddish, Gorton, and the Etihad Stadium, so that's the direction it takes us down towards the Ashton, so the Ashton Canal. So that's the route we're going, so we're going down, making a right. Okay, so after 10 to 15 minutes cycling from where we got on the cycleway, we then come to a junction. That says Sport City 4 miles, Gorton 1 mile. It's around Gorton Reservoir as we are, and we're making that left there. And we go down the hill, and then you'll make a right. So it's signposted to Sport City, or maybe even the city centre at this point. But you make a left. It's about 10-15 minutes after you've got onto the cycleway, and then you make a right at the bottom to go straight over. You see on the way past you, past the cemetery on your right, and then a little bridge over the A6, and then there's a Holiday Inn on your right as well, and then you come here. So yeah, it takes about 10 minutes of your cycling at commute speeds, 15 minutes today because I'm just rolling along gently. You're just following the sign for Sport City. Further on, you see we've just dropped down onto there and come along that way. We're just going straight across there. So we'll go straight across there, and it drops us back onto the cycleway again. It's signposted Sport City, so that's not a problem. Abbey Hay, Gorton and Sport City. So that's where we are. Okay. It's just a section to show you what it looks like. There's a squirrel there. It's not the most scenic of places. It's not like you're running around a beautiful river or something like when you go down to Lymm. But the cycleway's okay. There are houses and flats and stuff along the side of it, and Gorton railway station and things. There's this Gorton and Debdale. The smell of cannabis will often linger in the air on a commute. But it's okay. It's safe enough. No one's ever mugged me on it, day or night, when I've been cycling on it. And it's a nice enough commute. Certainly more relaxing than going up the Oxford Road corridor past all the students. Perhaps there's more things to see and more things to do. But if you want to turn your brain off and just cycle, or if you've got kids and you just don't want to risk kids, you want to cycle to town from Didsbury, Stockport, but you don't want to risk 10-year-olds up the Oxford Road corridor, and frankly if I had 10-year-olds I wouldn't risk them up the Oxford Road corridor either. Then this is the safe way of getting in, and it's quite pleasant. Okay, so we come along there, that's the end of the cycleway, and we hit the Ashton Canal. Here is the Ashton Canal. You can go east to Ashton, or you can basically go west to Sport City in the city centre. I'm not sure if it's got a distance on it. There's not got any distances on. Timing wise, this is on my commute. I'm doing an off-road commute from Stockport. This is 40 minutes in. It's about 10 minutes after the last turn, so the cycleway you spend about 20 minutes on. You spend 10 minutes and you cross over as you saw in the last clip, then 10 minutes more and you're on the Ashton Canal. So that takes you down past the Etihad sort of stadium complex and the cycling velodrome complex to the city centre, which is where we're going, because we're going to find the Rochdale Canal, which obviously goes out the city centre as well. You might be wondering what happens if you go east. You do not have to do really, because I've done it for you. It goes to Ashton on the Ashton Canal, and then it becomes the Huddersfield Narrow Canal, and off you go. And if you look on the canal, it all looks nicely navigable up towards sort of Hebden Bridge area and the North Pennines. But what actually happens is that you get stuck in a place called Upper Mill. You go, I think, through Staley Bridge, or Staley Vegas, as it's colloquially known, and up through a nice place called Greenfield, a nice small town, or maybe a large village, I don't know what you called it, and then you end up in Upper Mill, which is where the towpath stops. So the canal does not continue navigably, but unless you have floats on your bike, you're not going to be able to get up it, and you get stuck in Upper Mill, which is more or less in the middle of nowhere apart from some roads, and I just went back to Greenfield and took a train home at that point in the day. But it's nice enough. It's very quiet because of course it doesn't really go anywhere, so there's not many people on it. So you can, if you were cycling on a sunny bank holiday down, I don't know, the Bridgewater Canal down towards Lymm, it's absolutely rammed every step of the way. There's sail and altering with people, boats and everything. Whereas if you go up the I think I saw about 2 boats and about 4 people going up the Huddersfield Narrow Canal once I got past Ashton. So it's a very quiet, quite a pleasant ride, but it just doesn't really get you anywhere. It doesn't get you where we're trying to get to today. So we are going to go and find the Rochdale Canal, which will be down here. Okay, so that's the plan. So as I said, if you're I think we're about 55 minutes today, because I'm going slowly and stopping to chat. If you're on a commute, and doing your sort of 20 to 25 kph, it's about 40 minutes in here at this point. Going down the Ashton Canal towards Manchester City Centre, I say it ends up in New Islington / Ancoats. If you keep going down it, it's really straightforward to follow. Can't go wrong really, just keep following the canal. This is the National Cycling Centre behind us. I think it's over there, the actual National Cycling Centre. There's a lot of geese, some cobbles. This bike has a suspension on the front and also a suspension seat post. So it's very comfortable to ride long distances or over cobbles or slightly unrough ground. That's one of the benefits of a touring bike. I mean, you could come down here on a road bike, it's all right, but you might have to walk it over some of the cobbles. But the sections aren't that long, so only a few of them. Okay, so we come to a road here. This is the road obviously that runs past the Etihad Stadium. There's the canal, just come along there. You can walk down there and just do a left and keep going along the canal, or if you want to stay on your bike, you can, that's about 20 yards, you just walk under a tunnel, or you can go along there and make a first right and loop round just to see those fences, and that takes you more smoothly back onto the canal, and the canal just continues obviously underneath here and along, so that takes you to the city centre, and that's if you're commuting in. But what we're going to do is switch over, so if we make a right here and go down, we will hit the Rochdale Canal just by one of those old empty water towers or whatever they used to be. Well, there's some good driving on a bank holiday morning around the Etihad, isn't there? Anyway, this is one of the reasons for cycling off-road, of course. So we're going to go along that cycle path down that way, and that should hit the Rochdale Canal in about 2 or 3 minutes. Then we'll switch onto the Rochdale Canal. We'll obviously go right because the Rochdale Canal also goes to the Manchester City Centre, but we don't want to do that. We want to go out towards the Rochdale direction because I'm assured by someone who lives in Littleborough up that way that the towpath is fully navigable at the Rochdale Canal all the way up to Littleborough and Hebden Bridge. So that's our cunning plan. To be fair, it is signposted, but you'd have a job seeing the signpost given how much foliage there is in front of it, maybe in winter. Anyway, it's just, as I said, we'll just come down that road and we're just on the cycle path towards the Rochdale Canal. Just come down there a few seconds ago from the last video, and there's the Rochdale Canal making a right. Going to walk up the side of that. There's a walking space to walk your bikes up that, and that down that direction will take you back to the city centre if you want to. But we're not going to go to Manchester, we're going to go up towards Rochdale, so it's that way. Okay, here's a little look at the Rochdale Canal. We're just moving just a few minutes out from when we turned onto it. Pleasant enough. We're still around sort of industrial areas of East Manchester, sort of northeast Manchester at the moment. But we'll move out more pleasant shortly. It's okay. I mean, like most off-road, I'm an off-road cyclist. I tend not to cycle on roads if I can help it at all. The best type of bikes to use for this are not road bikes. You can probably navigate this on a road bike. It'd probably be okay, certainly so far, I think, with them maybe walking over the cobbles a bit sometimes. But touring bikes, which this is, hybrid bikes, cross bikes, gravel bikes, if you're that trendy, that they can obviously navigate this without any problem at all. They're probably the ideal things to use on these sorts of off-road trips. Mountain bikes, of course, you could use if you want to. So basically anything apart from road bike will be very comfortable. Road bikes on this so far, fine. I'll give you a shout if it gets too poor. Certainly there are bits of the trip to Lymm all the way down the Mersey from Stockport that you don't want to do on a road bike. That's not the case here. You could do all this on a road bike so far, except with walking over cobbles for a bit. But in terms of comfort, obviously, if you've got suspension, you'll be more comfortable for longer distances, basically, on this sort of trip. Cheers. Okay, it's a still misty morning. It's just after 9 o'clock, Bank Holiday Monday. We're past sort of industrial sort of suburbs of Manchester and to the north, sort of Failsworth and places like that. They're not massively pleasant. The track's okay, it's fine for again a road bike. Maybe you wouldn't want to go with it. It's got a lot of cobbles. There's a couple of sections, so you just have to push the bike up the side of steps. But otherwise it's fine. It's a misty morning. It's going to get hotter later, which is good, because if this was as hot as it ought to be, when the temperature's up to 30 or forecast, it would be a bit of a slog, I think. But as it is, it's absolutely fine, just ticking along. It's quite pretty out here now, as you can see. Very, very quiet. Just birds, that's all you can hear. It's a little odd one, so we watch out for this. The towpath stops and takes you up there, just on the right hand side. You'll see it comes up here to this bridge, and you'll need to go right over this motorway. So the towpath takes you up there, so you're just seeing alongside that road on the right, just so that you can see the exit on the right there. So you come out of there and you come up here and you need to make a right over the motorway. It'll take you back onto the canal. See, we've just come over the bridge and the canal goes underneath the motorway and just keeps running along that way. So obviously we just go left now and back onto the canal towpath again. So we're on the Rochdale Canal here, as you know. Just come up there, the surface is pretty good, and we're going in that direction at the moment. So that's the direction we're going. You can see the hills just behind starting to rise to the Pennines. We are there, which is just Middleton, and you'll see we'll go up towards Rochdale, Littleborough, and then Todmorden, and then Hebden Bridge. So that's where we're aiming for. I'm 15 miles, about 25 kilometres we've done so far. I feel like it's taken under a couple of hours, maybe an hour and a half, something like that, or maybe an hour and 3/4. I've been going pretty slowly. I haven't used the electric motor at all, except to be lazy and save myself changing a gear when I'm going up a bank to a lock. I'll just stick it on the basic level, just so I don't have to bother to shift gears. But other than that, it's going okay. It's quite a pleasant day. It's misty. It's going to get sticky later. What I'm hoping is when I get to Hebden Bridge and Littleborough is that the trains are running back to Manchester. It's a bank holiday Monday. If they're doing something weird on the track and I'm stuck out there, that's gonna be where I'm really going to need the e-bike to get back home. But yeah, so I'll let you know how long the travel time is at the next stop, and we're heading off towards Littleborough, the next mill road, Littleborough. It's quite pleasant. It's a canal, so I don't expect it to go up a lot, but you can see there are a lot of locks. So each one of those locks is going to be a little bit of a rise, but I don't really see that as a terrible strain. There are a lot of locks because it's going up into the Pennines. I think they said there you go. It's the first canal to cross the Pennines, Manchester to Yorkshire, 1804, from Sowerbridge in Yorkshire all the way down to Manchester, 32 miles and 91 locks, and it was used until 1937, and then it's been redone in 2002, so it's navigable through its whole length, and more importantly, it has a towpath its entire length, unlike the Huddersfield Narrow Canal, which does not, as I discovered last time. Okay, it's quite out here. Again, heading towards Rochdale Park. The trip time's 1 hour 40, done 27 kilometres. It's very pleasant. Slight problem is that I haven't had any food since about 8 o'clock last night. I wanted to get out. I thought it was going to be hot, so I wanted to get out. And of course what I forgot was it's bank holiday, and it's early, because I was up, and it's not even 10 o'clock yet. So there's probably nothing open. I thought I might find a cafe or a supermarket or something just to grab some food on the go. So I haven't been very successful at that, and I'm going to bonk if I'm not careful. I'm not putting a lot of effort in. I'm using the motor just to get up the lock, the gradients of the locks, which aren't at the moment that common. Otherwise, I'm just sat padding along pretty slowly. But I want to find some food, really. Probably should have had a egg on toast or something before I kicked off, but I was keen to get out while it was relatively early and cool. So we'll just keep going. So I found a Londis on the canal bank petrol station. Quite expensive, but here we are. Oh, wrong way around. There you go, Yorkie. I'll keep me going with some water. I've got a kind of fizzy pop in the bag as well. That's okay. We'll hack on, then that'll keep me going till I get to the nice eateries of Hebden Bridge, which I understand are very nice cafes and things. So I'll treat myself when I get to Hebden Bridge, but the Yorkie and the fizzy pop will keep me going. Okay, I think the towpath just continues on the other side there. I'm not sure what the alternative route when towpath unavailable means, but it goes up here, Middleton. It goes to Castleton, and then up to Littleborough, and then Hebden Bridge. So we will try to go down that side and hope that there's no problem going down the towpath, and if there is, we'll have to work something else out, but it should be navigable as far as I'm aware, so we'll see. Okay, this is Castleton, so it's just before we get to Littleborough. I had to switch sides a couple of times across the bridges, but it's not been any problem, just stayed on the canal, so that's okay, and we're going okay. Keep on trucking. We've come up the canal, just along there, up there. You can see it's back 3 miles back to Middleton there. And it says Canal Towpath Littleborough down that way, so we're going to have a look. It's a sign, as you can see, there's no towpath, so obviously it reroutes us around towards Littleborough, so we will have a look and see how difficult or easy it is to follow. And if it's difficult, I'll stop again and show you how to do it. It's not a problem. You just basically come round on the signposted Canal Towpath, make a left, it curls you round, and it signposts you back over, by the looks of it, over there. And then through those houses and back onto the canal, I think, so that's fine. That just brings you around, curl round here, and then back down onto the canal. 6 miles to Littleborough, it says 6 miles. A bit, it's coming towards Littleborough. It looks like you go round there, but you don't. There's a dead end just to the left, and it's also a dead end because of lock gates if you go straight on. So I think what you need to do is make a right here and just go up there and head over the top. So we'll look at that next. But don't go down there because you get stuck, or you can always go up that way, I suppose. There, and go across here. That way is the right bank's dead there, finishes, so you'll be on the left bank. So you want to be going just there and left, back onto the left-hand side of the canal towpath. Okay, we're in 34-35 kilometres. We're under a couple of hours actually cycling, although because I've done lots of stops for video and to get some chocolate, we're well into the third hour of actual cycling. The sun has burnt off the mist finally, and I'm not feeling such a pillock if I can put sunblock on, because it's going to be quite a warm day. And you can see the Peak District there, or the Pennines rather. I suppose the peak, isn't it? Just rising up. There, the North Peak, I suppose, isn't it? So it looks really nice. It's quite warm. I may cheat at some point, as I'm in the third hour and not particularly well hydrated or fed. I might put the e-bike on just to speed me up a bit. Also, another news, the tram's obviously running. I've also seen that the trains are running, so that's good. So I'll be able to get back. I don't want to end up stranded in the boiling heat in Hebden Bridge. That wouldn't be a good plan, so that's all right. Cheers. It reminds me a bit of the High Peak Canal, this. Looking down over lovely areas, Peak District, and really very pleasant. So this is on the way to Littleborough. We're not quite at Littleborough yet, probably in a couple of miles to Littleborough, but looking pretty good. Let's back onto the canal there. We've had to come off just briefly down that road, and it takes us past Littleborough Railway Station, which you can get trains back to Manchester from. That's good. You just cross the road and you're signposted Littleborough Summit. And there we are, and that's back onto the canal. So you can just see a canal boat there, and that'll take us to Hebden Bridge. Okay, we're at Durnlock at Littleborough, just on the way to Hebden Bridge. Getting pretty warm now, but really quite pleasant. Okay, so we've just come down that way. We're heading this way towards Hebden Bridge. We're going past Todmorden. We've just passed the summit, which I assume is what Littleborough Summit's all about. It's the summit of the canal, which means that all the locks on this side are now going down, which is nice. So you basically get a little speed boost as you're zooming down. So that's quite fun. Yeah, so shouldn't be long down Hebden Bridge. Shade joke, but I'm going to have to make it. We're not far, probably I don't know how many miles short of Hebden Bridge we are. We're just trudging along past Todmorden, and as you can see, we are getting our kicks on cycle route 66. So yeah, that's what we've been following. That's what the Rochdale Canal is. It's National Cycle Route 66. So we've arrived in Todmorden now. So Todmorden's the next town along to Hebden Bridge. So I need to get back on the canal. The canal goes under there, but I can't get access to it. So I think I'll make a right there to get back on the canal towpath. So we will go for that. A little issue here in Todmorden because they have closed the towpath for resurfacing. I mean, you can see that there. So I've got to go on the main road for about a mile past a little and then make a right back onto the towpath to get back on towards Hebden Bridge. That's a bit annoying, but isn't necessarily a problem because I'm sure it's only closed for a few weeks for resurfacing. But anyway, at the moment I won't have to go back on the road, so that'll be fun. So slightly annoying, that's the end of the works. It goes on for about a mile and a half maybe, and I had to come over the top of a road, past a little and down again, and it wasn't very pleasant. It's on until November, these road works. That wasn't a great, there was lots of double parked cars, lots of traffic, could have been close passes. I ended up hopping on the pavement actually, some of the worst bits of it. It wasn't great fun cycling on that road. It's not a very nice road to drive down. It's obviously not built for modern cars, especially when there's double parked. But anyway, you come down and you can just cut across off the road. You can see there, it just cuts through back on down here. I think after lock 22, somebody said lock 22. I'm not sure what lock number that is. But anyway, that's where it cuts back now, and we're now about, I don't know, 3 miles from Hebden Bridge, maybe 4, something like that. Not much to say now. I think we're approaching Hebden Bridge, maybe a mile or two away at most. It's getting trendier. More people are moored up. Yeah, it's all very nice. Beautiful day. Just coming into Hebden Bridge, maybe a mile and a half out. There's a little river stream running just alongside, which is always nice because you get the sound of flowing water, which of course you don't from canals. So it's quite pleasant. There's people steaming down. Very good. I'm going to call it, this is Hebden Bridge. I'm not sure where the actual centre is. There's the little theatre, so there's the emotional centre of Hebden Bridge, and there's lots of coffee shops everywhere all along the canal bank just past. Some with milkshakes apparently, so that's fine. So I think we'll call that a trip. Let me just check how far it's been. Hebden Bridge on a bank holiday, Monday. Pretty teeming really. Some ice cream and nice food. There's 3 trains an hour to Manchester, so that's alright. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. Really quite a nice day out. Let's see what to get. I might have some ice cream, or I might go and get something slightly more exciting. Look, it's a posh level of busker. There's somebody with double bass or a cello or something. I don't know what it is. Double bass, isn't it? Very good.